Hello guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a beautiful red manicure, specifically called Red Ferrari by Daisy DND. Look at that color. This is my favorite red. As you can see, this comes in a set with a regular polish and a gel polish. And today we're going to be using the gel. It's Ferrari Red, DND 430. That is the number there. And I'm going to try not to talk. We're going to just jump right into this thing. Here I have the brand Sun, I believe. It's a UV light, 54 watt. And we're going to set that to the back. And so whenever you're using a gel, you want to make sure the base of your nails, they are clean. So already have your nails prepped, shaped, wash your hands, and then you want to go in with alcohol. Next, I like to use a acidless primer. Now, I know this is used for people who typically get acrylic. I don't know why I use it. I just like to use it. I just think it aids in helping the color stick even more. Even though the alcohol should be sufficient, I just choose to do this step. This step, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it all over the nail. Next, I have the base gel and the top gel. We're going to start off with the base gel. I typically, this is the only brand of gel I've kind of used. I've used another, but I typically just use the same brand in whatever brand that I'm using. So, of course, I just got the DND. And I figured it'll work really well. So as you see here, I'm just showing you guys a side profile of how much gel you want to have on the brush. So I'm tapping a little bit off. And my goal is to get it as close to the cuticle and to the sides, but not actually touching. And with the base gel, you just want to make sure you have a thin coat. Because if it's not, it will pull on the sides of the nail. And I never understood that when I would go get my nails done. When I started trying to get the gel, I would always kind of think in my head, why aren't they being stingy with this gel polish? At least the base, And once I started doing it for myself, then I realized, oh, I get it now. I get why they are applying as thin of a layer as possible, even with the color, because if you collect too much on the brush and you put it on the nail, it's hard to control. And two, it will just pull on the side. So then when you cure your hand under the light, when you pull it out, it'll be like a big blob on the sides of the nail. And essentially that would cause lifting. And it will start to pull away from the nail. So again, I'm just taking my time and pulling straight down. And once it looks good to me, I just keep moving on to the next finger. Now, you don't need to do this many strokes. I believe, and once we get further into the tutorial, you need about maybe 3 or 4 strokes, and you'll know just how the finished product looks, like how many swipes you need to do, but you don't want to overdo it. But with time, you'll get the hang and the feel of it, and you'll know kind of like when to stop. So as you can see here, I didn't dip it back into the base gel because, believe it or not, there was still enough on the brush. And again, with time and with experimentation, you can see that even just very little goes a long way. So now I'm going to cure my hand under my light for 120 seconds. Now we're ready to put that beautiful Ferrari Red on. Again, you don't need a lot. You just need just as little as possible. Now, when you start to paint your nail, again, the goal is to get as close to the cuticle on the sides as possible, but try not to touch. And we'll see later on in the tutorial that sometimes you might get a little bit on the cuticle. But if you try to keep that in the back of your mind, get as close and don't touch, it will save you from having to clean up. Because sometimes that can be very difficult to even get that perfected when you're trying to wipe away a little bit of it. So just take your time when you are applying. And for your first coat of color, I would say it doesn't necessarily have to be, perfect, but it needs to be thin. Everything needs to look even as far as, no stroke lines. You want to try and smooth that out as much as possible. But you just want to make sure that you cover the base of your nail bed. Cover that as much as possible and as thin as possible, because when you go back and put on your second, it's going to be so much easier. I feel like your hardest coat, to me, it's that first color coat that you apply on, whether it's gel or whether it's a regular polish. And, just have fun. Take your time. The more time that you allow yourself and, you're not in a state where you're rushing, you will get a more beautiful finish. Give yourself time and have fun. Believe it or not, I've been painting my nails since I was like a little girl. And I think I was as young as 3. And I stole some red nail polish from my grandma at her house and it was in the corner. And my godmother at the time, she called from my mom and she said, "You let her polish her nails?" And I believe my mom was like, "No." And so my grandmother was like, "Well, she's polishing them." And I was just in the corner, minding my business. I'm sure my nails looked a hot mess. But because I saw my grandma do it all the time, I guess I just wanted to do it too. Another tip I like to throw out there as well is that whether you're working with gel or regular polish, I would say you want to clean as you go. Meaning, if you start to put on your color and you get it too far on the sides or too far on the cuticle, wipe it up thereafter before you start to apply your second, especially with the gel, because once you cure it, that's it. With regular polish, there's some wiggle room there, but I would say that does make it easier when you clean as you go. So here we'll see that on my thumbnail, I got a little bit on the top of my cuticle. It's not so bad, but I'm just going to use the tip of my nail. Now, you don't have to use the tip of your nail if you have a tool. I have a tool and I'll use it later, but I saw it right then and there. So I just went to try and wipe off as little bit as I could without messing up the polish. Again, not perfect, but looks really good. So after curing for 120 seconds, I don't know what just happened with my thumbnail and my index finger. It's like I hit it on something. I don't know if I hit it when I was putting it under the light, but it's easy to correct. You just clean and just go back to what you're doing. And we'll see here that it's an easy fix. So don't panic. So after I fixed my thumb, and even in this moment, I still didn't notice, I don't think, my index, but I cured it under the light again. So now we're about to go on with our second coat. And again, applying the second to me is just so much easier. But again, try to get as close to the cuticle as possible without touching. And you still want to try to get as close to the sides without touching. But by applying that base very carefully and thoroughly, it's just going to make it so much easier. It's almost like, this is probably a bad example, but it's like coloring inside the little tracing lines, you know, that first layer of color. Once you really put it down correctly, that second coat is literally a guide for you. So now it's just about perfecting the color, making sure it's smooth. No like streaks, I guess. You know that look of polish when it's like, you probably need to smooth it a little more. And gel is really forgiving. Especially when once you cure it, I feel like it kind of like evens out a little bit, but again, don't rely on that so much. Just make sure that you polish it really well. Now, this is when I think I finally noticed my index finger. But again, when I put the second layer on it, you'll see that it glided on beautifully. And there was no like imperfection where I could see where, like part of that polish was missing. It just glided right back on. So I was happy about that. So as you can see, when I'm wiping around the nail, I kind of either tap the paper towel I have down or just tap on my skin, because the brush, it will absorb the acetone, but you don't want so much in the brush that when you touch around your cuticle, it'll kind of spill out of the brush onto the nail, and it can kind of wipe away the polish. So that's why I tap it on the paper towel or like part of my skin to get some of the excess out, because I only just want just enough to just, clean it up. Now I'm going to cure for 120 seconds. And now we are ready for our top coat. So we are almost to that finish line. But again, with our top coat, you still want, the goal is for it to be a thin layer. Get as close to the cuticle, get as close to the sides. Smooth it out, take your time. And this top coat, it's really going to just add the wow factor. So as you can see, I just moved right on to my second finger because it is enough on that brush. You don't have to keep dipping. So now I'm going to dip and get a little more. I'm wiping a little bit off. And now I'm doing my third. And again, I just moved along again and just used what was still on that brush. After this top coat, I like to cure the hand for 120 seconds, and then I cure it again for another 120 seconds just to make sure that everything is secure. Now I'm going to go in and spray my alcohol onto my paper towel and wipe my nails down, because this type of gel polish, you have to go in with alcohol after. And look at that. It's bright. It's merry. Beautiful red for the holidays. Look at that. Isn't that a pretty red? And wait till you go outside. It is, like I said, I think earlier, mesmerizing. It really is. It is such a beautiful red. So if you like this video, you like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up and comment. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe and come back. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.